both so exhausted.
And I think that this conversation right here is super important for all the dads out there.
We got this from Gary, who says women like to complain about men not doing enough with kids, but then view stay-at-home dads as inferior to professional dads. Don't invite stay-at-home dads to moms groups, or so stay-at-home dads are far more socially isolated than moms. Authors have cited studies of the distribution of household chores that don't include managing finances, car repairs, home repairs, bicycle repairs, teaching the kids sports, lawn care, finding and managing repair, renovation contractors, researching housing, etc. The list goes on. I do all of that, and it's not even mentioned as a household chore. Bridget, what do we know about how dads are spending their time?
Well, he makes a really good point, and I think it's true. I think that we do tend to overlook what men do in the home with care, with parenting, with housework. But he makes a really, with what he's saying, he makes a really important point that men have tended to do what are considered masculine chores, like mowing the lawn or taking the car into the shop. And they don't have that same time pressure that sort of more feminine tasks do, like cooking. You have to do it every day. Dressing, you have to do that every day. Getting the kids out the door, or knowing what sizes the kids' clothes are, so you have to go and buy new stuff. So there have tended to be these differences in sort of what people do, what parents do to take care of the kids. And what we've seen since the pandemic is that's beginning to shift. And that the Time Diary research is showing that men are taking on more of these sort of quote-unquote feminine tasks of cooking and grocery shopping. They're beginning to take on more of those sort of time-intensive chores. And so what I would say is that the Time Diary data does take into account all of that unpaid labor that the previous caller was talking about, the finances and running a household. That is important, but still, that has paled in comparison to the amount of time that women and mothers have put into care and household maintenance.
Hey, Shannon, in your experience, both seeking out support for yourself as you have grown into, fatherhood and trying to provide that support for other men and other parents, what did that mean for how you thought about your masculinity and what it meant to be, what it means to be a father? Did you have to do some redefining, some rejiggering in your head?
I did, especially as a stay-at-home father. I came to the conclusion that no one gets to comment on my masculinity. It is whatever I decide it is. I've got a big beard. I can build you a deck, and I can cook you a tart. These are all, gender-neutral things. I cannot breastfeed or give birth. That's it.
That's right.
For about a couple years there was some embarrassment on my part, or I was afraid to talk about it. And then I met guys that were like me. And then I just met normal fathers, and then single fathers. We're all just parenting. It does not matter at all.
Hey, if you're a stay-at-home dad, bro, congratulations. Enjoy that shit, bro. Enjoy that shit, bro.
Do it the way you want to do, not the way you're told to do or what you're expected to do. Look, I hate and that was like a big place to go. And I'm like, I'm never going again. It is not happening, right? So instead we go to Civil War battlefields. Same thing, right? Big field, big place. That's it.
We're talking to Shannon Carpenter. He's also the ultimate stay-at-home dad. Also with us, Jessica Gross, opinion columnist at the New York Times, and Bridget Schulte, director of the Lab at New America. I'm Jen White. You're listening to 1A. Shannon, but how did that adjustment in your thinking free you up in ways that made it possible for you to build relationships with other fathers, thus alleviating your loneliness?
So once I made the connection that I could do this my way, right, that I didn't have to do what is typically the parenting world, because Jessica's right, a lot of times going into the mom world can be very kind of hostile. And again, I understand it, I don't blame it, but it's not good for me. So what we started doing, when I owned the role, we started doing adventures, things that we wanted to do. And when you get a bunch of guys around, for example, this last week, the Sawmill Museum, looking at a 100-year-old sawmill, right? Those are places that I have an interest in, that my kids have an interest in, and other dads have an interest in. And so we started doing that a lot. And then every year for the last 15 years, we've taken what we've called the dad's trip. 5 dads, 16 kids, we pick a direction, we go see the most goofiest things. You know, the world's biggest ball of twine, the biggest pair of underwear. Those things really do exist, right? And it's about being together. It's never about where we go. And that's how I alleviated that, by putting ourselves in places that we wanted to be, around people we wanted to be with. I've played baseball in the field of dreams, like literally, and I did it with nuns. There were nuns there, and that makes for a great story, but it makes for a great connection with men. And even online,
and I think that is
going online,
very important.
Where you go.
Creating experiences for your kids to learn from. You know, like Buddy is saying, we having adventures. Adventures are important to a kid. Gotta keep that in mind, cuz.
So, you know, one of the things that I wanted to add as I was listening to Shannon, this is so fascinating. One of the things that leads to a sense of loneliness for a lot of men, especially early on, is a lot of the cultural myths that we have around the maternal instinct. That women are just better at this, that women are better at caring, they're better at parenting. And, you know, that can be incredibly isolating as well as a real stigma for both, you know, for men and women. And what the research shows is so interesting. There really isn't such a thing as a maternal instinct. That what it is time. That what you need is time with the child to get to know them, to understand what this cry means. Are they hungry? Do they need to be changed as they grow? What makes them interesting or interested? And how can you speak with them or talk to them or go on adventures like Shannon was talking about? And so much of it is having the time to develop your own confidence and competence and go on your own adventures. And that's really what is the key to unlocking that sense of connection and confidence as a parent.
Shannon, I just want to give you a moment to share your final thoughts. If there is a father or really any parent who's feeling isolated, feeling lonely, what would you encourage them to do?
You know, the first thing I encourage people to do is to go, to get out, you know, be seen. It is one of those things where you have to be consistent with it. And sometimes it's easier just to stay home and hide from the world. And I think especially for fathers, especially if they've gotten a bad experience. The next thing I tell any parent, right? Because I've been a stay-at-home parent for 18 years. I know what I'm doing here. I feel confident with it. But I tell them to go find your people and the places that you're interested in. I mentioned All Parents Welcome. I mentioned City Dads, Fathering Together. There's plenty of other Facebook groups and other groups where you'll be welcome. I think there's a place, Moms First, just had a fatherhood summit about bringing moms and dads together for change. And I think finding your way with that is the best place to go.
Well, that's Shannon Carpenter. He's a father of 3 and author of the book, The Ultimate Stay-at-Home Dad. Shannon, thanks for speaking with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sticking with us, Jessica Gross of the New York Times and Bridget Schulte, director of the Better Life Lab at New America. And we're hearing from lots of you. Tess says this. Do you think that...
Yeah, I'm really glad that I caught that, though, because, you know, being a parent is one of the most rewarding and exhausting things I have been able to do. You know what I mean? I want to say this the right way. Being a father, being a parent is one of the most blessing and one of the most, you know, hard. I wouldn't say hard, but like, you know, it's just adapting to the changes of, like, you know, life and all the things going on and whatnot. My life is crazy as hell, boy. My life been crazy as hell for like the last couple of months. And, you know, that's okay. Like, it's not like terrible or anything like that. But, yo, just to be real with you, I've always been an adaptable person in a sense. And, like, I'm still learning how to adapt to the situation that I'm in. But I guess it's always like I often say, you know, it could be worse. And I'm lucky and I'm blessed to have those that I have around me right now. I just take it a day at a time, to be real with you. Like, I just had to recently my baby was crying all night. My dog was crying all night. My girl had just come down with some kind of sickness. We don't know if it was a food poisoning from a salad she had like 2 days ago or whatnot, or if it was like a stomach bug or from like a party we had just been to. Like, you know, it's that time of year or whatnot. So, you know, I just had to take on a little bit more responsibility of taking care of my son a little bit. Thank God, you know, for my girl and for my family and whatnot, checking in, calling in, texting us, yo, y'all good, or, you know what I mean, whatever, da da da. You know, it's a really amazing thing. And sometimes in the moment it can be a little bit overbearing, but I always just keep my cool, and I just know that, you know, this moment is gonna pass. You know what I mean? These moments of like just feeling over anxious, like underprepared, or, you know, just kind of like not underprepared, but like you're just so tired that it just feels like you can't even move fast enough for your baby to kind of just, you know, get back into a chill state and stuff like that. So, you know, I don't know. I'm just taking it a day at a time, and I'm just trying to be one of the best dads in the world. That's it. And with that being said, I guess I'll let you guys go. Yeah, thank you. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Yeah.